one of the most memorable concepts in your book is wine. When I saw this term wine, my mind went straight to
a bottle.
To the bottle.
And then you develop the doctrines that work sometimes for you or against you. And so people, you find now the language has created confusion. Your identity is fractured. You will find yourself struggling in what you do in your life because you don't know who you are. Then there is the I. You have all the information. For example, I wrote a book which you can grab and read and see what can I do? What is this person talking about? In this show, wouldn't be enough. Yeah. But if you dive into the book, you will be surprised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome yet to another episode of the Jasper Kumo Show. And today I'm honored to have a very wonderful guest. Before we dive into today's conversation, I'm just going to do a quick introduction. Dr. Christopher Arori is a public health educator with extensive experience in mental health, leadership, development, and human behavior. Dr. Arori is passionate about helping individuals unlock their full potential by making intentional choices that lead to growth, purpose, and fulfillment. As the author of You Are Your Choices, Dr. Arori challenges readers to examine the everyday decisions that shape their lives. His work explores the hidden cost of complacency, fear, inaction, while inspiring people to embrace courage, accountability, and responsibility. In addition to his clinical and academic work, Dr. Arori is a sought-after speaker who addresses topics including mental wellness, leadership, resilience, personal development, and the psychology of success. Through his writing, teaching, and speaking engagement, he empowers individuals to move beyond limitations and create meaningful change in their lives and communities. Dr. Arori's mission is simple yet powerful: to help people recognize that their future is not determined by their circumstances, but by the choices they make every single day. It's an honor to have him on the show today. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Kumo, right?
Yes, just for Kumo.
Good to have me in your show today.
Thank you for coming to the show. And I just want to dive straight into the story for today. You have recently authored a book, You Are Your Own Choices. And before we go into the book and the details, I just want to get a bit of a background story. Let's find out how did the idea of writing this book come about, and what inspired you to actually come up with this script?
Oh, that's a very good question. Probably I'll talk about that same question the whole day, but because of time, I would just give a snapshot. The idea came to my mind and decided to write that you are your choices. If you dig deep about Dr. Christopher Arori, I had a challenging background as a young man. But through over the years, I learned that I had to make good choices that could actually help me, propel me for that success. And so, as I said, it's not an overnight thing. So over the years, I've been thinking about that until one of my friends said, why can't you write something about choices? So I decided to say, okay, it is time. And so I had to go to my records, and I found that I had started writing this many, many, many years ago. So then after that, I decided just to say, it is time for me to put this thing into the world so that I can help young people just like me, the choices I made and changed my life. And now here I am.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So when you finally sat down to write, what truth were you hoping people will confront?
There are so many truths, because sometimes we are in denial. Sometimes you think you are stuck you can't get over some of the storms of life. That's what I call them. And when you do that, you kind of limit yourself. So I had to just struggle with that. It was a challenge, an internal struggle to say, if I did it, then another person can do it. Therefore, I would not entirely dwell on the failures. Those failures prepared me to be who I am today. And that's the core message on that book.
Okay. So into the chapters, one of the things that came out was about governance. So about leadership, what patterns define poor governance across different societies, in your opinion?
Oh my goodness, that one, when I was writing it, I was fired up because governance is everything. So it is just like, it is like a chain of something. So if governance is good, say from the top, we can succeed. But we can't fully succeed if we don't address the other part of it, the lower part, the individual part, because governance would not become functional if we as individuals, we don't do what is right. And that's why it challenged me. I said, I must start with governance so that people, all of us, can start having that dialogue, that governance is not what we think it is. It is more to it when you talk about governance. You govern, but it has to start from the bottom up, down, from bottom up, so that individuals and those we call our leaders. So that's what motivated me to address that part.
Wow. So on the same leadership role, what are the hidden costs of poor governance that people rarely talk about?
Oh my goodness, there are a lot.
Yeah.
Kumo, probably you have experienced that. We don't realize poor governance leads to really social destruction, social setups, say from the family level. We don't talk about those silent, I call them silent killers, where if the system is bad, say for example, I can give you an example like in healthcare. If the system is bad, it's going to go all the way down. Your people will die, but we are not talking about it. We are blaming, we look at the top. When we should start looking at the bottom as well. What are we doing? So there are those silent social ills that come out of poor governance.
Yeah, that's quite profound. When moving quickly, we go to the historical event and human civilization. You move from governance into history. The events that shapes the human civilization. Which historical events do you believe most dramatically altered the direction of humanity?
Oh, wow. One of the things I was, in my youth years, I loved history. So when you think about history, like world civilizations, like for example, I can give you an example like the French Revolution, where people had to go out in the streets and all that, and then changed the life of those what people were experiencing. It completely changed the political landscape during that time. Then there is the Industrial Revolution that also comes along and changes. People start fighting and thinking, what can we do to make our societies better? And some of those civilizations caused problems during that time. Now, when I was writing this book, I'm thinking, if we can remember about the historical past, we can use that history as a raw material in our present circumstances, because you want to avoid what those persons or individuals who experienced those problems during that time, you want to avoid that. You want to make society a little bit better. And so the past can actually prepare you for the present. The challenges as a young man prepared me for the present. So you cannot isolate. It is just like a loop. It goes round and round. So the goal is to use the material and try to make yourself better or to make our societies better.
Yeah, that's really quite profound. One of the most fascinating chapters in your book is on language and cultural indoctrination. How does language shape the way people think, behave, and interpret reality?
So that's a good question, and I'm glad I came to this show.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was a young man, when I was going through school. This one was in Kenya, in Africa. So there was this idea that you had to speak English when you are in that school. You had to speak only English. If you spoke anything that was not English, teachers used to punish us. Actually, they used to use a device called a disc.
A disc, yes.
You are given that disc to tell you that the language that you are using, I don't call them vernaculars. Actually, we have our own languages because they have rules. But they didn't like that. Why? Because from time immemorial, language has been used to change you as a person, you as an individual, because when you speak English, you feel you are civilized. When you don't speak English, you are seen as uncivilized. And I say, no, that's not the case. Language is what actually carries all our cultural traits that actually safeguards. It's like a safeguard. So if you're given a different language, like the French, for example, they want you to become a Frenchman. They don't want, when you become a Frenchman, they want you to change even the way you believe, even the way you do things, even the way you invest your money, so everything. So language is very, it's a crucial or it's critical to our survival as a people. It doesn't matter where you are. So that's what motivated me to feel that I had to address that part. Although during this in your show, we don't have enough time to dig deep into that. But I addressed that with a passion in the book that I wrote.
Wow. So in the same chapter about language, in what ways can language be used as a tool for indoctrination or control? So,
like the question you asked me,
yes.
That question determines what I'm going to think about myself or what the answer I'm going to give you. So to language, for example, so there's people, the words that come out of your mouth may have a negative impact on somebody. I've had families where they use they call their children, you are jawhead or you are dumb. So, or you don't get it. So the child grows believing that they don't get it. What you did is communication, but that language had a powerful ingredient in it. So the recipe for that person to feel, in other words, it kind of defines you. And that's why I had to dive into that and say, wait a second. Language, if not used in the right way, can have very damaging effects. And that's what I have seen over the years, for my over 50 years, actually. That's what I've seen. And that's, I am passionate about that. But as I said, in this show, wouldn't be enough. Yes. But if you dive into the book, you will be surprised.
Wow. So rolling on to the culture, you've explored some culture and how it forms, evolves, and influences identity. What happens when cultural traditions clash with modern realities?
You get confused. So the thing is, if, for example, you come to the United States, or they call it a melting pot of different cultures. You come from Kenya, and the only thing you know is from the local area where you came from. So you find yourself in a place where it's completely a different culture. What usually happens, it changes first you find yourself confused because you did not have this in mind when you were wherever you were before you came to the United States. In other words, cultures can cause a lot. You can be indoctrinated. I use that big word, indoctrination. You can be programmed. You can be systematically programmed to look at things in a different way, where you see yourself as, now that I am in this specific culture, my culture is better than that culture where I came from. And so we end up, even once we attain the education in these foreign lands, we go back thinking that our culture is inferior, whereas these other cultures in the West are superior. No, it's not at all. Because what has happened, you have been indoctrinated, you have been poisoned by a culture that is foreign to you. And it causes a lot of confusion in our schools, in our churches, in our communities. And that's what motivated me to say, I must address this concept.
Oh, yeah. So in the same concept about culture, how can individuals navigate cultural expectations while staying authentic?
It's not easy.
Yes.
I would be naive to tell you today that it is so easy. But there is a thing you can do. There is what we call adaptation, where you adapt, you identify. Number one, you cannot avoid those different cultures. You must learn about them, adapt, adjust, and use them towards what is good, not what destroys you as a person. You are not less of, if you were brought up in a culture that you are not so much exposed. It's not that is inferior. You can incorporate those, integrate them in a way that yes, I've been exposed, but I'm going to use these cultures to move forward and adapt and accept and respect people across the board. It doesn't matter who they are once you understand, but there is a danger here, Kumo. If you deny yourself from understanding those other cultures, you'll be fried.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And over the past few years, religion and education have been the two pillars that have shaped society for a lot of years. How does the education system shape spiritual or moral development of an individual?
I struggled writing on that part, having a Christian background. So I had to be very cautious how I was connecting those two, the education and religion. Remember, all of us, we have been given this information about religion through education. It passed through schools, and you are kind of programmed. I can give you as an example. The Catholic Church, for example, they'll come, and when you are in their school, you must learn how to recite those using their own language, Latin, or whatever, and then so that you can fit. You talk about the Muslims, for example. I addressed all religions. I didn't specifically focus only on Christianity. I looked at Islam. Children are programmed using the language, and they tell them, they use those well-crafted words to prepare them to memorize and master that religion. And in the process, what has happened, we have created, I call them doctrinal errors, because you are taught and then you develop the doctrines that work sometimes for you or against you. And so people, you find now the language has created confusion in society. So a Catholic will not mix with a Muslim. A Muslim will not mix with a Christian. When it should be the other way around. Identify those, yes, we have used language, understand and education and all that, but accept what you see, adapt, and make it to work for you and for the betterment of our society.
Okay. One of the biggest topics you've touched on is colonialism and slavery. That was a very deep topic, and it brought a lot of memories about things we read in history. How did colonialism shape, or rather reshape, cultural diversity across different continents?
It is that one. I became emotional when I was writing about it, and here is the reason why. Colonialism, the goal was just, let's go educate, especially in the continent of Africa, educate the primitives, those natives, people who did not know any God at all. They assumed. And so those colonial, they call them masters, their goal was completely to destroy the existing, those cultures that were existing, because they were seen as primates, especially in Africa. They were not human beings. So it kind of tried to erase the history of a people of different continents. A typical example, even in the United States, I don't think many people look at those countries where slaves were captured and brought to the United States. United States alone, when these persons from Europe came to the U.S., they took lands which belonged to the native Indians. And they kind of, once they took all their lands, they started educating them, they started isolating them, they started putting them in reservations. And we have them even as today. It is something that has destroyed a lot of our people. Millions of people were killed. Talk about the Jews. You look at the Jews, their movements. A lot of millions of lives were lost. So colonialism, it was a disease. And once they left, probably, I don't want to talk about it,
yes.
the post that,
yes.
But it is something that because they came, like in Africa, they came specifically for gold. With the 3 G's, gold, God, glory. So they wanted to achieve those 3 things. Let's take them a God, because they don't have any God. Let's take their gold, and then we will get the glory. And that's what we see, which is very disturbing. That's why it made me so emotional, but I know that I even reserved, because if you write so much about it, it can cause you a lot of problems. I was told that when I was in graduate school about 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, that was a very deep and touchy topic. And I agree with you. Sometimes going deeper into that can affect you in one way or the other. You've also touched about identity. Has been a major theme in your work. And what happens when someone grows up with limited cultural diversity?
It is bad. I'm just going to use I'm going to be very basic on this, but it is a heavy subject. Identity is all you can have. We have had as low self-esteem, low whatever. The identity, if you don't know who you are, if you cannot adapt with whatever is around you, your identity is fractured. You will find yourself struggling in what you do in your life because you don't know who you are. So that's why identity, knowing who you are, is critical. Because it creates that energy that would kind of propel you to succeed in anything you do. So that's why I say, no, I must talk about identity. That cultural part, indoctrination that affects the identity, has negative effects on all of us. It doesn't matter. It can be a child, it can be an adult. Once you grow up and your identity is fractured, you will live with those wounds for a long time. And you keep on asking yourself, why am I not doing better, or why am I not thriving? So identity is a critical component of our success in anything we do in life.
Yeah, because one thing that especially young people deal with is they grow up exposed to so many cultures, and sometimes those who grow up in certain places, they have a very limited worldview of themselves. Mm-hmm. So an instance, when somebody grows up in Africa, they are only limited to a certain level of thinking because they're not exposed to other cultures.
Yes.
So for people who are facing those challenges, how can an individual expand their worldview, even if they're not in an international platform, that maybe they're somewhere deep in the village, somewhere deep in the village? What are some of the tools they can use to expand their worldview while they're still within their local areas?
So the advantage that many of the young people and even the adults this day and time is the advent of technology. Technology is in every corner of the world. Phones, cell phones, people have those. And there is what I call Google University, Yahoo University. So it is extremely important for the young people, not specifically young, all of us, to utilize those resources, utilize those devices, and try to learn about other cultures, learn about the West, not to glorify, to say, okay, I have to be like a United States individual, because when you talk about that, you feel that you are kind of, now you have become civilized. No. You can maintain that village where you are, knowing that your culture is as important as persons who are in Japan, who are in China, who are in the United States. And do not deny yourself or kind of say, I'm not going to learn about other cultures. If you do that, that's a disservice to yourself, because you have to understand what those those individuals are what their systems look like, and then borrow some good ideas from there and maintain your identity. So you can actually, that's the adaptation. You have seen them, you bring to your own existence, and they start making sense, and you start doing well. Like, for example, people in the United States, and many people don't say that, people do anything they can find to make a living. When you are in the rural areas, you can look at whatever it is there and plant even tomatoes and make still money. It doesn't matter. Money is money, because these other cultures do that, and that's how they manage to survive. So it's important to know how other people are living and borrow that, but maintain your identity. Knowing that you are extremely important also. Your identity matters.
Oh, that's really wonderful. So we are not utilizing the internet the right way.
Exactly.
Exactly. Utilize it for education.
Exactly.
So one of the most memorable concepts in your book is wine. When I saw this term wine, my mind went straight to
a bottle.
To the bottle. But just what inspired this acronym, and what does this acronym actually mean?
The content of this book,
yes,
that one word, WINE, covers the entire part of the book.
Yes.
How? There are so many times we waste our time. All the time. You will find yourself somewhere, instead of making use of your time, you are just sitting there, or the information, you don't use that information. It is there. So you waste it crying over and over on one thing, wasting your time. Then there is the I. You have all the information. For example, I wrote the book, which you can grab and read and see what can I do? What is this person talking about? Not only this book, there are so many other materials out there, like Google University, Yahoo, the technology basically. You have the information. Do not undervalue the information that is out there. Read, expose yourself to that information, and make use of it. Yeah. Do not ignore that information. Because when you ignore, then you become ignorant. Ignorant it has a negative connotation, but it is not actually because you are not utilizing the utility of that information that is out there. Okay, the end. How many of us, we neglect ourselves? Even, I've seen where people work round the clock, 24/7. They don't drink water. They don't eat a balanced diet. You want to serve other people. You neglect yourself as an individual. In the process, that's what kills us. Because you are not paying close attention to yourself. Because if you take care of yourself, then you can take care of others.
Yes.
The last one, the E. The E, many of us give excuses all the time. Maybe I didn't become so great because my parents didn't support me well. Maybe my friends didn't do this, A, B, C, D. Excuses, excuses, excuses. And the process, with those excuses, over time, you become exhausted. You die. Because now, you have denied yourself all those resources which are around you. And that's why I came up with that, the W-I-N-E.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And it is more practical.
It's more practical.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the same breath about health, you talked about people neglecting themselves and serving other people. You closed the book with very powerful chapters on health. Physical, mental, behavioral. Let's touch on a few of these attributes. So, why is hypertension called the silent killer?
You see, that's a big topic, but I'll just give a summary about it. And if you want more information, you can read the book. It is a silent killer because you cannot tell whether you have hypertension. Because it doesn't, number one, you can't feel any pain. Number two, you don't feel anything until when it is too late, when the kidney are shut down, when you are having problems with your eyes, not because of this one, is because probably I'm wearing because of old age, yes. Getting old, and you are wearing probably because of a condition that I may not know. But it affects the eyes, and then all of a sudden, you complain that you have chest pain, a stroke. That's why it's called a silent killer. The reason why people should always go in for screening. And then the other one, diabetes. Diabetes, our parents, probably great-parents, they used to eat fruits. But with civilizations and all these industrial revolution and jobs, blue-collar jobs and all that, people eat and eat. And some, I remember in Kenya, they used to say, if your tie goes this way, public opinion, you are doing well. Guess what? You are not rich, actually. Mm-hmm. You are developing diabetes, diabetes type 2, which can kill you. It causes a metabolic issue. The body is not able to get rid of all that. And over time, diabetes is a multi-system killer. It kills systems silently. The kidneys go. The eyes as well go. You name it. The systems in your body disintegrates. All of a sudden, you have developed a very serious. You go to the hospitals. If you are not careful, you die. Then I dived into mental health. For many years, most of us don't believe that mental health is something because you just want to know that something, you have a headache, you go and get Tylenol. But mental health has always been seen as evil, demonic. So people don't go for treatment. There is this, people feel, they're myths. They feel if you have a mental problem, therefore you are crazy, you need Jesus Christ, or you need Muhammad in the Islamic world, or you can be, or you need to go to Mathare like in Kenya and be treated like a slave. You are institutionalized because of that. And then last but not least, this idea of not taking medications and following the treatments the way they are written, going for your doctor's appointment has also cost us a lot of deaths. We have actually witnessed some in this where we live, and worldwide, you continue to see that.
Wow, that's quite profound. You've touched on a lot of topics that affect not only our community here, but also people from around the globe. And I think with the advancement of healthcare systems, I would imagine that there should be ways of following up with patients, on whether they're taking their medications or not.
Yes.
Yeah, but sometimes it also falls on the responsibility of the patient to also follow up with their doctor. Sometimes because the doctor may not be able to attend to everyone at once.
Exactly.
So it's up to us to basically take that initiative to reach out to very, very different medical professionals to seek help whenever necessary.
Absolutely.
So your work forces us to confront the systems around us, the habits within us, and the choices that define us. Your book is not just a mirror. It seems to me like it's a map, a guide for everyone who wants to understand why society is the way it is and why the way they are. Before we come to a close, I just want to give you this moment to give a shout out to people that have helped you, come up with this book, people that have supported you. Maybe this will be a nice time to also speak to the viewers and kind of tell them how you feel and what's next for you in this journey.
Well, thank you so much, Kumo, for your show, for being here today. I want to acknowledge several individuals who have meant that they have been very, 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 very important in my life. I will start with my parents. My father was not a rich man, but he struggled to put me through school together with my siblings back in Kenya. And I wish he was around to see what his effort has produced. I want to thank my mother. She was a prayer warrior. She prayed many nights for her children, and probably because of those prayers, that's why I am who I am today. I also want to thank my wife. She has been my strength for the past 30 years. My children, Brandon and Deborah, they have done so well. I remember when I was doing the PhD program, when they traveled with me through many cities across the US when I was doing my residencies. So I want to thank them so much. And more importantly, I don't want to forget about the church in general. The church at home in Kenya played a role to teach me about God. And I think they did a good job. And I will never forget about that. I want to thank my teachers, professors, who asked me very important questions. I remember one time I was asked, why do you think you Africans, you are better than us? It was a topic that led me to think about the cultural indoctrination in the world today. I also want to thank about many friends in where I have been, whether in Kenya. They have been very instrumental. In those little social gatherings, they have prepared me to think beyond what... I always listen very closely, and they have helped me, they have shaped me to who I am today. I want to thank also people. One person, one time we were in this gathering, it was in Moja, it's in the United States, Seventh-day Adventist Church. We were sitting, it was on a funeral occasion. When I spoke there, it was only for 1 minute, about 2 minutes. One of the members from there called me and said, Chris, you need to start thinking about putting seminars together so that we can address some of these issues which have affected. His name is Charles Mwama, and I want to thank him so much for that. So on that note, there's many other individuals that who I have not mentioned, but I want also to acknowledge all of you, including the one who is interviewing me today, Kumo, to be in your show today.
Thank you.
Yes.
So where can we get a copy of your book? Is it available somewhere that our viewers can get it?
Yes. Now, this book is right now in Amazon. You can go to Amazon anytime. Just type Dr. Christopher Arori. You are your choices. Once you type, it will pop, and just you can buy it anytime. There is a digital copy there. There is a soft copy, hard copy, and they have prices. They always have promotions. And also, those of you who are around the world, you can get it through Ingram platform, because that's a global distribution platform that once you order, they deliver it to your doorsteps. And also, you can reach me anytime. I'm on the social media. Just write a text, and then I'll walk you through how you can grab this book. I think, yes.
Thank you so much. To everyone listening, thank you for spending time with us. If this conversation moved you, challenged you, or opened your eyes, make sure you follow the show, share this episode, and leave a review. And remember, you are not your circumstance, you are not your excuses, you are your choices. Until next time, choose wisely.
Wisely.
Thank
Amen.
you, Dr. Chris.
Thank you so much, Kumo.
Pleasure.
Yeah.